Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is gonna be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in and prices continue to crash around the nation as a result of unaffordability, skyrocketing interest rates, and the Federal Reserve doing quantitative tightening. Not only that, we are now entering the dark months of real estate where traditionally prices take an additional hit. So I suspect as we move into the end of 2022, we're going to see these price crashing trends continue to surge. But the question is just how much will it surge? What metro areas will be hit most? And what data provider can we lean on to figure out what the housing market is going to do? So today, you guys, we're going to unpack Zillow's August housing market report that's titled Potential Home Buyers and Sellers Continue to Hesitate. Prices Continue to Soften. August 2022 market report. And you guys understand that I keep telling you, read many data providers because everyone has different data and different forecasting. It's crazy, quite frankly, but it's all about the same, but it does differ. And remember this as well, you guys, I'm not a financial advisor. Even though my bio is as a realtor, loan officer, instructor in all things real estate, someone that went through a foreclosure in 2009, I'm a current renter, but I also own real estate. I have exceptional credit. I have a down payment, and I'm working like an absolute beast right now to stack my money so that when the housing market does turn around, I'm going to become a winner, and I want you guys to become winners just like me. And for that desire, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and shoot me a comment below, you guys. I love hearing from you, but let's get started on this breakdown right now. All right, so the article starts off with a couple points here and a little paragraph. The typical home value fell 0.3% from July, the largest monthly decrease since 2011. Next, listings now take 16 days to go to pending, up from 10 days at this time last year. Still not a lot of days. Total inventory ticked up slightly, driven by lingering homes as new listings drop off. Home buyers continue to balk in the face of mortgage affordability obstacles this August, leaving less competition and more inventory of homes for sale in the market. The softer demand from buyers contributed to the largest monthly drop in home values of 0.3% since 2011. Appreciation has receded since peaking in April, which is interesting because according to Redfin, it's mostly peaking in June. So it's just, you see what I mean? It's so interesting how they vary so significantly sometimes. But typical home values are still up 14.1% from a year ago and 43.8% since August 2019, before the pandemic. So the important thing to understand is this is the biggest drop in value since 2011, which really damages people that continue to play the narrative that everything's fine. This is just seasonal. If it's just seasonal, we're not going to have the biggest we're not going to have the biggest value decline since 2011. All right. I'm not going to beat that. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, but it's crazy how some people are still playing that narrative. But either way, you guys, let's get back into this article. Let's dig around and see what else we can find. Now, here's Zillow's monthly mortgage payments as of August 2020. And this is really going to go into the unaffordability, which is the leading factor at crashing our housing market, or negative equity growth, whichever is not going to trigger you unless you're one of my normal viewers and you understand my wordplay. But, this is very interesting. It says $1,643 is the average payment, but that cannot be including taxes and insurance. This is probably just PI, or just principal and interest. But what I find extremely troubling is that year over year, mortgage payments are up 58.8%. That is a total rug pull. That's a total rug pull. I mean, quite frankly, it's shocking. And now, just to put this in my own personal scenario, you guys, the same price points that I was looking at just a year ago, all of those houses are going to cost me about $1,000. Okay. $1,000 more per month. if I get the same type of mortgage and I don't put, excessive amounts of money down and things of that nature. But houses that I'm looking for, price points that I'm in, it's $1,000 more a month. I just looked at that yesterday, actually. So the reality is everyone is getting rug pulled. The Federal Reserve is saying right now, don't be buying houses. We're going to make it really hard on you if you want to. That's what I'm reading anyways. But let's jump back into this article right now. And you guys, you want to know what's really funny about reading this entire report? They don't put their forecasting in this report anymore, probably because they've been wrong every single time this year. And actually, we have negative price growth and negative value now. Recent volatility in mortgage rates makes it more difficult for many borrowers to qualify for a loan. Substantial week-to-week rate movements mean that many potential buyers are able to qualify for a loan one week, but not the next, or vice versa. Even buyers able to afford a house at current rates could feel frozen, waiting for mortgage rates to fall dramatically again, like they did from the end of June and to mid-July, when rates dropped 50 basis points in just 2 weeks. And that's what I believe messed us up a little bit more, is that drop actually. And people, someone got upset at me because I said, the Fed pivoted. Even though I said the Fed really didn't pivot, my point was they could have jumped in and done something to raise rates again. That was my point. Now let's continue. As the share of median household income needed to pay monthly mortgage costs rises beyond the 30% level considered to be a financial burden, uncertainty itself could be holding up a large population of buyers who could otherwise still afford to move forward with a loan. It's likely that this problem will continue until markets stabilize and return to some semblance of normalcy. Buyer pullback leaves sellers sweating for longer, or not listing altogether. Reducing buyer activity has left homes lingering on the market for longer. The typical listing now goes pending in 16 days after first going active on Zillow, 3 days longer than in July and up from a mere 10 days last August. Inventory, the count of active listings across the nation, ticked up, rising 1% from July. This gives some good news for buyers who now have more options to consider, but that's far from the smallest monthly increase since February. So what's really important that I want to bring to your attention that this mentioned is there are active buyers right now that are getting rug pulled. There are people that are currently in the process of closing on a house right now that are getting rug pulled because the interest rates are jumping up. When the interest rates jump up, so does the payment. When the payment jumps up, so does your debt to income ratio. If your debt to income ratio gets too high, you will no longer qualify for a home. So it's very interesting to understand. And that's probably why we're getting such a surge right now in canceled contracts. So again, what I'm saying is I believe there's still millions of people that would buy right now if they could qualify. I believe the people that are on the sidelines are people that are being forced to the sidelines, not people like me that are patiently waiting. And that's been a fear of a lot of people, that there's so many people waiting. But the thing is, guys, is there's a certain point where they must wait because they can no longer even qualify for a loan. And that's going to be happening more and more, as I've said, as we go into further months in this year. But let's get back to this article right now. Now, here's the chart for sell inventory for Zillow. And I want to point out, guys, that even though it's low, we're at 991 active listings according to this. It's just so weird that Zillow is just so different. And it's still, obviously, it's not pre-pandemic. We need about 1.2 million active units for it to be pandemic, but I also to beat pre-pandemic. But I also wanted to point out that we're still up month over month, 1%. So we still have inventory growth, you guys. But I also want to point out that even though that this number is low, our months of supply of inventory is actually higher than it has been since 2020. And I also want you to know that this skyrocketing growth of inventory actually greatly exceeds previous years by some of those years by more than double. In other words, we actually had a significant growth of inventory, still a low number, but we had a significant growth of inventory from February until August. So I just want you guys to know that the reason why that's important is to understand it's not seasonal. These things that are happening are not seasonal. The reason we had such a massive surge of inventory from February to August is unaffordability, rising interest rates, quantitative tightening, right? Let's jump back to the Zillow article and finish this out. Here's the last paragraph that we are going to read today. Home buying unaffordability is driving rebalancing. The prime suspect to explain the pullback in home buyer demand is a huge decline in affordability over the past year. The diverging fortunes of more and less affordable markets backs up the hypothesis. More affordable markets in the Midwest are generally retaining their heat while competition is cooling most rapidly in Western markets, especially those with the highest home prices and the ones that saw the most home price appreciation over the pandemic. Home values rose from July to August in 12 of the 15 largest U.S. markets, led by Birmingham, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, and Louisville. Those four all have a typical home value well under $300,000. Miami, in the fifth spot, breaks the trend here, but also features the highest rent growth over the last 3 years by far, which could be stoking demand for purchases. Values fell the furthest month over month in San Francisco at 3.4%, Los Angeles, which is not year over year decline yet, at 3.4%, Sacramento at 3.2%, and Salt Lake City at 2.6%. And once again, we are heading into the dark months of real estate, so that price decline and that price crash should actually surge the further into the end of this year that we get. So keep your eyes on prices and values. Now, let's finish out by reading the last chart of the Zillow article right now. And this is something that I've been wanting to bring up a long time. Zillow has now basically finally said and acknowledged houses are no longer going up in value. You can see here that it's barely plateaued. You see that barely. They don't even want to show you guys. I mean, it looks like, they held their pen on there too long and the ink bled through the paper. You know what I'm saying? But look at this month over month, national average decline, 0.3%. This is spelling out the reality and the trend of what's going to happen. And you guys, once again, it's not just seasonal, but I don't have to guess anymore. All we have to do is wait for the data. The data is going to show it. I have no doubt about it. And the thing is, guys, what do you do with this information? This is what you do with the information. Be optimistic. If you're waiting to buy real estate like I am, this is all good. This is all great news. It should help us to be even more patient. And then another thing, while you're waiting, empower yourself right now. Credit, income, assets. Stay encouraged. Become an expert on your local market. You guys already know what you need to be doing if you've been watching my channel. Now, do me a favor, you guys, comment below. Let me know what value you got from today's video. I would really appreciate it if you've made it this far in the video. Now, if you're out there investing in real estate, I wish you luck and I hope you win.